Charles Robinson, who's covered the NFL for as long as I've been around it and definitely talked about it, wrote a long article today. And I would say the premise of it was it was never the Patriot way. It was the Brady way. And he kind of concluded the article that if Bill would have gotten his way and been able to transition and get rid of Brady in like 17, 18 and go to Jimmy Garoppolo, that it would have also ended like this. And I'd push back a little bit. I think that version of Jimmy is a lot version than the guy that we see that just got Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler relieved of their duties. But I don't disagree with him because I would argue, beside Bill Parcells, in my lifetime, all the coaches who have been quote unquote big time have had a star quarterback. Bill Parcells is the only guy, and he happened to have, I don't know, the greatest defensive player in the history of the league, essentially as his quarterback in Lawrence Taylor. But from Walsh to Montana to Holmgren to Favre to now Andy with Mahomes and Belichick and Brady, to become an all-time great, to become a Hall of Fame level guy, you have to have a Hall of Fame level quarterback. Now, and part of that typically is not just their play, but their character, their leadership. Like Favre, young Favre, the Holmgren version, was beloved, got along with everybody, was the heartbeat of that team. Joe Montana, buddies with everyone on the squad. So when you get the total package, the player, the character, we've talked about this with Joe Burrow, your organization becomes a rocket ship. Let's say the Bengals win a Super Bowl this year, and Zach Taylor has on his resume 3 straight conference championship games, a Super Bowl appearance, and a Super Bowl championship. Like, let's face it, Google how many guys have that resume. Not many. And this gets back to you can only do that with a great quarterback. I will defend Belichick, unlike McDaniels and Patricia and Judge and a lot of these coaches who you wouldn't want in 50 miles of your team if you're a fan, an owner, or a general manager. I do think Bill, if you give him a capable quarterback, has proven over and over and over again that he can win, that he can build the team, that he can function as a GM and as a coach. Now, at 71, 72 years old, has he lost his touch? Has he lost a lot of coaches? Is it not the same? 100%. But the Patriot way, of course it was the Belichick way, or excuse me, the Brady way. The Chiefs were pretty good when they had Alex Smith. They became a fucking powerhouse with Mahomes. Did Andy just all of a sudden get smarter? No, right? Is Phil Jackson the greatest basketball mind of all time? Or does he benefit from being able to have Kobe, Shaq, Michael? Like, part of being a great coach is having a great player. And usually when your great player is also your most competitive, your best leader, it all funnels down. Antonio Pierce said this the other day when he took over, and he talked about in his experience with the Super Bowl team. He said the best teams are player-run operations. The best operations, what do they always say about successful companies? They're not about the walls on the outside. They're about the people on the inside. It's no different with a football team. It just happens to be that position has such a extraordinary amount of power, of juice, of eyeballs on them. So when you get the right guy, it's why we talk about it so much during the draft. It's why this quarterback draft it's why everyone, the moment Caleb Williams went and cried with his mom, everyone had a fucking opinion. If that was Marvin Harrison Jr. or, the wide receiver from Florida State, I'm just trying to think of some of the top prospects, the offensive lineman from Arizona or Penn State, no one would even talked about it, wouldn't even have noticed. But it was Caleb Williams. If that would have been Drake May or Michael Penix, it would have been the same thing. Everyone would have had a take. Is this guy tough enough to be your starting quarterback? No one gives a shit when it's your guard, right? Or your running back. It would have been like, the guy's emotional, man. His mom, that's a cool moment. But when it's quarterback, everyone's nitpicking. Is this guy mentally tough enough to be the leader of a franchise? That's why everyone's shorting Mac Jones. Just not good enough. Whiny country club kid. Not talented enough. You will lose. If Andy Reid had Mac Jones, or Kyle Shanahan had Mac Jones, or Pete Carroll had Mac Jones, guess what? They would have issues. It would not be going well. Whenever I hear this notion that Mac Jones would have been fine on the 49ers, I want to throw up in my mouth. Maybe it would have looked better than it has in New England because they have more talent around them. But they by no means would be as good as they were a couple years ago with Jimmy, and now they are with Purdy. because those guys are way better players than him. That's not an opinion. That's an objective fact. And I said it when the season started. Mac Jones was going to get everyone fired. Bill didn't become an idiot overnight. Now, his staff has gotten worse over the years, but Mac Jones was his problem. If you gave Bill Belichick, let's just pick Kirk Cousins. They're competing to be a wild card team. And you're like, God, that's a feisty little squad. But you give him a shitty quarterback, just like you give any coach a shitty quarterback, you're going to lose. So, of course, the Patriot way was the Brady way. Is the Chiefs way the Mahomes way, right? I mean, that's the way it works. That's part of the deal. Not that Bill didn't have a huge say in that as well, but without that guy, you have no way. You just lose. That's the way it works in football.